in today's episode, I'm gonna explain you why my backtracking is so long and what the whole logic behind that is. There's an exploit, we all know that, but why does it actually work that way? So let's take a closer look at how and why this stuff works, okay? So I have opened GIMP because I really like GIMP and I can't afford the Photoshop, and I don't want to download it cracked because GIMP does the same thing anyways. And for the stuff I need, it doesn't really matter. So here we have the current position with ping. So as we all know, there's latency, at least on a server that's not right here, and even then we have a little bit of latency. So in the forward tracking video I explained to you that basically here is a guy, like this here is what the server sees, and this is at 0. This is what the server has currently. That's the newest position of that player, but here is where we actually see him. That's as soon as we get the information, right? And that's, for example, 50 milliseconds after it actually happened on the server, because it took that long to get to us. Or maybe if you are in America and you're playing on a EU server, it's maybe 150. If you're in I don't know, in Australia and you're playing on a Europe server, maybe it's 350. Something like that. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that this here is what we see as the current, as the newest possible thing. Now backtracking utilizes backtracking with nothing, okay, just backtracking. What that utilizes is, you just record him, and then see, this is a little bit out of order, but then you have a couple of records, and they're blue here, and actually that one should be here, so it's actually lined up. Okay, so these are the backtrack records. That's where he was, and so on and so forth. And then you could just shoot at that, right? And basically what this is from here, from our view, 0, right? This is 0 without ping for us, because ping doesn't matter basically for us, because why does it? So this is 0, and then in that direction we can go all the way till 200 milliseconds, right? So that's what I told you guys last time. So 200 milliseconds, and all of that is fine. This is my voice in Sony Vegas. The window right here where I'm saying 200 milliseconds, you also need to take into account how long your packet will take to the server. So you need to calculate that in, just for everyone who is a little bit smarter than the average, okay? Forget about it if you don't really care. That's how it's supposed to be. Now when you have a fake ping or fake latency, then what would happen, or let me go somewhere else. What we did last time, or what I explained to you in the forward tracking video, was basically the fact that you can go forward in time, that you can predict from that position when you have 100 ping or whatever your ping is. You can predict forward to whatever your ping is, unless, well, till as long as it's below 200 milliseconds. If you have a 350 ping, you just can't exceed that window. That window is plus 200 and minus 200 milliseconds. The window is not bigger. That's exactly all it is. There's like no further. If you have a 350 ping, then on the server the guy would be like over here, but if you shoot at him, the server is just gonna say it's out of delta. So you have the 200 plus 200 minus, and that would be, I don't know, plus, I guess, or minus. Who cares? It doesn't matter. One is plus, one is minus. Depends how you calculate it. So that's that, right? Then we would forward track, but that's, as I said, very useless basically. Now, as probably everyone knows already, there's fake latency, and what basically happens is that you get even more records, as you saw in the video earlier, right? We just have a huge amount of people, like of records. But why is that? Well, that's pretty easy. What happens essentially is that we take this part here, and the server thinks we're somewhere else. Like the server, basically what we do is we shift the 0. As you can see, the 0 is here above the current, and with the fake latency we move that 0 back because the server thinks we have a higher delay. So what happens is nothing, because I for some reason can't move this. Hold on a second. Let's see. Great. Alright, so we basically move this backwards. We increase our latency so the server, hold on, so the server thinks that we are back here, which we are not. That's why we can still see that guy here. That's why we can still record. So essentially what we are doing is we are forward tracking from that point for 200 milliseconds. It's not really forward tracking. I mean, well, actually it is, but it's not the forward tracking which I utilized last time. Because, well, if you remember, I was just predicting, right? I was guessing where he could be without having the actual information. But because the current, the bright blue one here, is still visible for us, that's the whole exploit of fake latency, we can still keep recording all of this stuff. You know, we just keep recording more and more and more and more as long as we're in this window. And, well, yeah, then we basically have plus 200 and minus 200 milliseconds. And that's the whole thing. And the only thing that's really important here, or interesting here, is when you what does, I think Skeet calls it, ping spiking. Well, whatever they call it, whatever you want to call it, it's up to you. But basically what it does is it increases the fake latency even more. Okay, I can't move all of this, so we're gonna just, let's hope I didn't draw this. Oh my god. Take that, put it in here. Great. So basically what we would do is we tell the server that our ping is even higher, and so the guy keeps walking, and we still have that stuff. Meanwhile, we obviously keep recording, but it's outside the window, so we can't use that yet. So the guy is already over here, you know, like, I don't know, 1 second or whatever it is, or 800 actually. He's like 800. There's a 800 difference between this and this, and then, well, we can still go 200 plus and 200 minus, and then that's basically what happens. You know, that you can still shoot at it. The only the only problem is that the maximum range is a second, so you can't go beyond that. You could, I mean, you can basically shift this window here beyond. So let's imagine that guy was even further ahead, and you would, like, here's the 1 second mark, but that would have like no benefits, right? Because all that you would do is you would throw everything that's beyond that line into the garbage. So you basically decrease your window again, because now you only have this the you know, like, I don't know, like 50, 25 milliseconds in the blue zone and the 200 forward. So if we draw that line down here, which also doesn't really work for well, oh, there we go. then you would basically just delete all of this, or you would get out of the zone, and then you have again the normal thing. But well, you know, the range is huge, but again, you can't shoot at this part here, so you would actually see him, and then you would have to wait till the time passes, till this first one, till you get into the range here, and that's why it's probably ping spiking and not you cannot shift this here instant. You cannot just press the button and they just stop. It's a little bit slower. It's like 3 times slower than instant. Or maybe 4 times. I don't know. I've tested a little bit around, and I think I have it down pretty good. So while it's shifting, I can still shoot at them. So if the window keeps shifting backwards, but well, that's the whole thing. Pretty long video because I'm pretty shit at explaining, but I hope it kind of gave you an insight on why stuff does work the way it works. If you have a question or something like that, then feel free to ask in the comments. Bye. Hello? Oh, you still there? Get out of here, piece of shit.